All right, hosting Sam Houston for a 3-game series. What are y'all looking for?
Yeah, just excited about getting the guys out there playing at home in front of our home crowd. I think Sam Houston's got a very competitive team. I think they're leading their league right now, and be a good challenge for our guys.
They score a lot of runs. What goes into the preparation and maybe game film, looking at all of that to see how to combat what they do well at the plate.
Yeah, so nowadays we actually, it's a lot easier than it used to be. Used to be you'd have to go back and watch every pitch or read about every pitch even back in the day. Nowadays we've got a program where you can go back and see every pitch on every hitter, literally for the last 2 or 3 years, and it's a lot more efficient than it used to be. And so you go in and look at that, but at the end of the day, you try to pitch to your strengths and you try to play to your strengths, and no matter what you see on film for the most part.
Tim, changing subjects to Josh Young for just a moment. He's on pace now to hit 140. Of course, it's a long season, but he already has 8 homers. He's on pace to go over 40. What do you think about what he's doing right now, and also specifically how he's pulling the ball for power?
Really no big surprise. I mean, we felt like he always could do it. Really just he did a really good job at the college level of driving runs in and staying in the middle of the field, and I think he's getting back to doing that quite a bit. And he's also taking a shot and pulling the ball. And we saw, all of us saw, and our staff saw, there was always instances where he'd backspin the ball and pull it. He just didn't really have to try to do that. And I think he's adapted. He's a guy that's definitely curious about the sport and curious about hitting, and shows up each day, trying to learn something.
Coach, trying to go back to the mound, you've gotten some pretty decent starts from Mason Molina and Trenton Parrish the last couple of weeks. How are you feeling? Just your starting rotations coming together as we head down the stretch.
Yeah, those guys, you just want them to keep coming, and you could kind of feel it with Trenton a little bit and with Mason over the last probably 3 weeks. Those guys seem like they're getting a better feel and getting better rhythm and timing, and really what we want to do now is get those guys in the bullpen throwing the ball, and kind of knowing, when they come in, it's going to be a shutdown inning and things of that nature. But as far as Mason and Trenton go, we want that to keep coming. And then obviously Petty's had some starts. Tabor Fast has had some starts, even though Tabor had a setback last week with something other than arm stuff. And so I'm excited about watching those guys, and it's going to be a big key.
Is there a 1, 2, 3 this weekend rotation? Is it going to be Molina and Parrish and
We really hadn't finalized it. It's going to be Petty or Tabor on A3. The first 2 you got right.
Coach, Brendan Gerton's kind of lost a little command, it seems like, and maybe not commanding the fastball as well. How far away is he from being like the guy that we've come to expect or we saw at times this year?
Yeah, and so it's to me, it's how you respond to those outings. It was probably the biggest surprise of last weekend that he kind of got knocked down the week before against Baylor, and really felt like he's in a position to really respond to that last week. And so that was a little bit of a surprise, just seeing that we got him a clean inning. Hey, here's 2 clean innings, go pitch. And so I would say, I think that is definitely something that he's going to learn from. And he's been on the mound already since then. And again, a lot of that has to do with, just being present and executing pitches and staying within yourself. And I guess if that was easy, everybody'd do it, right? So we're going to try to find the right opportunities to get him in the game and get him going again. And at the same time, there's some other guys that are throwing the ball, that are probably in front of him at this point.
Tim, is there concern with where you're sitting RPI-wise about making regional, or how much work do you feel like you have to do to assure yourself of continuing to play, having the postseason this year? It's usually never a subject with your teams.
Yeah, I think we're still in a position where if you take care of what's in front of you, you should be in a good spot. And that's probably created by still having the road trip going to West Virginia and still having the Big 12 tournament. And so, possibly if you had Kansas and somebody else that's lower in the league and not the team leading the league, you might be in a worse situation. But to me, like, there's some games in front of us. What we can't control is trying to go win the day that's in front of us, and we're going to do that, kind of see where the chips fall.
Coach, looking ahead to ACU, you kind of got a taste about how they're going to be playing, resuming with the game as it left off in Abilene. But what are y'all looking to not just come back, but win the game? How the mentality going into that you're down, just like in a regular game when you're down. How are y'all going to go into it ready to go?
Yeah, so you're jumping ahead of us a little bit because we're talking about ACU on Tuesday, and we got the team leading their league on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But I'll go there with you if you want me to. I'm excited about those 5 innings. I mean, we've got 5 innings in our home ballpark, and we're down. 6 runs, which is plenty doable. I know our guys will show up and they'll compete. 14 innings on a Tuesday for us could be good for us going into the weekend. I guess it could be bad too. I mean, you can look at it both ways, but to me, to get a bunch of guys in the game and get them some at-bats could be good. And it's something we agreed upon at the home plate meeting. Sun was shining, and we talked about if the game was halted. And we talked about finishing the game in Lubbock if it was halted. And so that's why you do it. Even though I think, anytime you start a game and it is halted and you've agreed to finish it, it's just the right thing to do. And I think I had a dream last night about it, like that we hit for like 45 minutes, like right out the bat. And I woke up, I was like, man, that was cool. And, so I'm probably thinking along the same lines of y'all. And anyway, I won't share any more dreams with y'all, but I do, I was thinking about the game and like our first at bat, going, man, I'm sure glad we played this. And so, it's not easy getting us out here. It's just not, and never has been. And I wouldn't think it'd be on, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Tuesday. So.
Well, following up, when y'all announced that the game would be continued on Tuesday, since you're behind 6-0, a lot of folks said, they should have canceled it, so you don't risk the loss. Is there any rules governing that, or if y'all still have a game to play, is there any rules that you're obligated to finish it if you can, or?
Well, so again, I go back down the home plate meeting. We agreed to finish it in Lubbock if it was halted. And so I guess where you could get would be is if you didn't want to finish it on either side. To me, if you agree to do something, you need to try to do it no matter what the score is. I mean, I think if we're on the other side of it, I think we want to finish it. I think if it's 0-0, you're probably talking about finishing it. There's probably more. I mean, initially, they wanted to finish the game worse than we do, initially. But at the same time, we've never shied away from down 6-0 in the 4th or 5th. I mean, like, you're still going to have to get us out 5 times. And so, granted, we'll have to pitch and play good defense and do things. But as far as the rules go, if it's agreed upon at home plate to, for instance, to play a run rule in a game, which it was, by the way, in that game, if it's agreed upon, you're supposed to have to play the run rule, to my knowledge. And so, to me, like, if you say something, you try to do it. I guess it's probably the simplest way. And you probably, at this time of year, probably the more interesting thing is you start talking about the RPI pieces and all that. And there are teams with bad RPIs that get canceled on this time of year. Those things do happen. To me, we need to be playing good baseball. And so, how do you get to do that? You need to play. And so, to me, 14 innings could put you in a position to, play really good baseball.
Looking at the season as a whole, even throughout injuries to the guys that are in the batting order, what's been consistent that you guys have been still able to put up good numbers on offense?
My mind was going a couple places when you started that question, and then you just went to offense. Probably the most simple thing is you can look at guys in the middle of the order. You can look at Bazell and Cash, and if you want to go to the top of the order, Hester's been very consistent. There's been individuals within that order. I don't know that we've been great 1 through 9, each weekend, and we sure haven't been 3 days in a row, which is something we've talked about as of late. Like we've been good a day, maybe bad a day, and then good a day. And what you want to try to do is try to have professional at-bats each day, 1 through 9. And so what's been consistent, like I said, I think Cash has had good at-bats through the year, even though he might not have had the results he wanted. I think Hester has. I think Bazell has. Those guys have been pretty steady at what they do. There's Green's had some ups and downs, maybe for whatever reason. And everybody, the young guys are going to have that. They're going to have some ups and downs, but that answer your question?
Now we can expand on that.
No, that's probably pretty good.
Coach, you kind of mentioned it, but Gavin Cash maybe chasing some results over the last week or so. Maybe seems like he's taking maybe not swing at the moving on the right pitch, or maybe not reading the zone as well as he was a month ago, in my opinion.
Last weekend was a tough weekend to hit, and so he hit a ball in the first last weekend on Sunday. That's a home run 9 out of 10 days, and it wasn't even close to the warning track. It was probably 50 feet from it. That's how hard the wind was blowing, and so you'd have to ask him as far as is he chasing the results. I'm not going to answer that for him. I think all hitters do at some point. But he's actually, again, like I said, is he getting pitched tougher? I don't think so. You're going to go through some of that stuff.
Tim, how would you characterize your catcher situation now, or in terms of how you're deciding to kind of game again who to put back there?
Yeah, so we gave Maxie 2 starts last weekend instead of 1. And obviously Hudson had a big role in the middle game, offensively. But at that position, you're really looking at receiving, blocking, throwing, and then offense. That's how that goes. And so we look at that daily. Obviously, you look at who's on the mound. We're not really at a point where, like Birdsell last year, really liked throwing to Stillwell. That's why Stillwell caught every Saturday. And so we're not in a situation where we got a birdie going, hey, I got to have Stillwell back there. If that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Those guys have thrown to both, and so could it be a matchup thing a little bit too offensively? It could be a little bit of that.
Well, are you feeling, is Dylan doing a better job at the defensive aspects then?
They're both working really hard at it. No, I wouldn't say better. I would say neither one of them really separated themselves. It's like having 2 quarterbacks done. You got 2 of them. Like we've had years where you go, okay, Hunter Redmond, that's your guy. That's the guy that needs to catch. Braxton Fulford needs to catch. And if Braxton was in the middle of these 3, we'd all sit here and we'd go, okay, Braxton's your catcher. And so neither one of them have really, on that side of it, said, just the game told us, hey, this is the guy. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Like Real Muto.
Right.
Looking at Sam Houston, what do y'all need to focus on offensively and defensively to win this series?
Yeah, generally you can look at what they do, but you really need to be trying to play at the highest level you can, individually and then collectively as a team. They're going to do some of the same stuff that A lot of teams in our league do. You know, they run, they bunt some, hit and run some. They pitch it really well also. And so, you know, control what you control. Go win the battle at home plate. Go play good defense. Go run the bases good. And when I say the battle at home plate, you're talking about both sides of it. You know, pitching and hitting.
With San Eustace's roster, looks like heavily Texas high school guys. Did you have any significant recruiting contact with any of their players?
No, there may be a couple that we did wish we had, you know, for sure. Like their catchers projected to maybe be a high pick, you know, next year. They've got some talented guys. You know, a good friend of mine's son's on their team. His last name's Autry. He doesn't play a lot. I mean, I've known his dad for a long time. And so, but no, there's anytime you get a team within the state, kids go somewhere and they get the opportunity to play day in, day out, a lot of times they get better. And then I think they've got some of that. So,
Where's the Autry kid from?
of course, Canada.
Oh,
So his dad was Petty's high school coach.
Okay.